Hey guys, it's Kevin again. I know what you guys are thinking. Why are you reviewing this now? Why are you wearing an episode that aired like 6 weeks ago? And I'm going to explain why. This is going to be my review for Reign Season 2, Episode 1, The Plague. And the reason that I'm doing these reviews is because I really wanted to watch the show. For whatever reason, I didn't start it. I didn't start it when The Vampire Diaries premiered, because that's when this premiered, was when The Vampire Diaries premiered. For whatever reason, I didn't record it, and I thought I did, and I didn't show up, and for a while I've been slacking off on wanting to watch it, but I just didn't get a chance to. And I have like a 4-day weekend this week from school, so I decided I would catch up and review Reign individually. And I want to review it individually because I don't want to do like a big combined review. I just don't think that's a good idea in the long run. But I am going to watch Reign. And Reign was a show that I watched last year. I watched the first episode of it. Wasn't exactly that fond of it. I thought it was an okay show, and I didn't, continue watching it. However, when I stopped watching it, I heard that it really got really, really good as it progressed, and I would definitely agree with that. And, especially the storyline that was going on this season, I was very interested in seeing how that was going to go, and I decided I would watch the show. And overall, what did I think of Reign? Reign is not better than Game of Thrones. I will say that. Definitely not better than Game of Thrones. It's not better than The Vampire Diaries, in my opinion. I do think The Vampire Diaries is a little bit of a better show. However, I think this is definitely one of the best shows in the CW. I really enjoy it. It is a fantastic show. I love everything that's going on in it, and let's just get to it, because overall, I thought it was surprisingly really, really good. I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was, and I overall really enjoyed it, so let's just get to it. So basically we see Francis, who is now the king of France. He's riding to look for Lola, who went to labor in the slaughter of innocents. By the way, guys, I did not watch the finale. I went to this show pretty much just blind, which I know is a bad idea in the long run, but it's a show where it's very easy to tell what's going on. It's not at all a show that's not easy to understand. So Francis passes by lands riddled with the dead as the Black Death has returned to France, threatening to wipe out the entire country. So that was basically what the plot of the season I heard was going to be, and that got me hooked right away. So back at French court Nostradamus, Queen Mother Catherine and the new Queen Mary are addressing everyone about the ravage of plague that is spreading through France, and Catherine's assuring everyone there's no need for fear, but that they only need to take care of themselves. However, a noble asks about the new king, Francis, and Mary says that he is safe being protected in a private home, as well as that she has ordered the castle locked down to prevent infection. So she pretty much, though, doesn't really know where he is. They don't know where Francis is. So another noble asks what if the plague is already at court, and Catherine says that anyone who is found to be infected will be treated with kindness. They're not going to be treated harshly or anything. They'll be treated pretty much just like an individual who has a plague. So Kenna tells Bash that Catherine's being too nice, that she really wants the sick rooted out or turned in by their neighbors, and Catherine's urging everyone to seek expert care if they feel ill. And Mary mentions that there are early warning signs, and a clean-shaven Nostradamus explains these symptoms: fevers, spitting up blood, bulbous sores that turn black, aches and pains. You guys know the symptoms of the Black Plague. I don't really want to talk about it. It's pretty disgusting. He also warns that contact with an infected person spreads the disease, and that was definitely very interesting. So Greer is standing with her fiancé, Lord Castleroy, and notices that Leith, I think that's how I pronounce it, Leith, standing with a beautiful red-haired young woman, and asks Lord Castleroy if that is his daughter Yvette, and if she and Leith are together. And Castleroy looks at Greer in concern as she tells him that she is not jealous but concerned, as Leith told her that he would attain wealth and station, and that she would be forced to witness his happiness with another. So Lord Castleroy is asking if money is the reason Greer thinks Leith has sought out his daughter, and Lord Castleroy looks at Greer with concern as she admits that she's actually not jealous but concerned, as he inquires why this is so. Yvette is standing with Leith and points out Castleroy and his fiancé Greer, and Leith is in shock as he had no idea that this was her father. So that was definitely very interesting. So Yvette and Leith are having an argument about how Leith had no idea about Lord Castleroy, and that's over between him and Greer. He's pretty much he's not happy at all because he didn't realize that this was her father, and she didn't tell him. So I think that makes sense. I mean, think about it. If you were engaged to someone, and you did not know that the Lord Castleroy was their father, I'd be pretty pissed, definitely. I agree that I would definitely be pretty pissed about that. So, Bash tells Kenna to find, Pascal and, basically, oh, wait. Basically, if he could go back to her, he honestly says that he would not. Yvette is begging Leah to spend time with her as these could be their last days on Earth, but Leah says there are things he must do and they agree to meet tomorrow. And I agree, even though these are their last days on, even though this could be their last days on Earth, he's really upset with her. So in the castle hallway, Kenna runs into her husband Bash, and they talk about how people at court are getting sick and that there isn't enough food for every household at court. So Bash tells Kenna to find Pascal and secure themselves in their chambers until the plague is past. And a couple is seen about to have sex, and apparently the woman's infected. So I was surprised by how graphic that scene was. Like, that was a very graphic scene, especially for CW. I knew it was because I knew they had to cut, like, that one scene out, because, like, last year, because, like, it was, like, too raunchy for network, so I thought that was interesting. So Mary and Catherine are seen walking down the hall, followed by guards, where a man steps out to greet them, and a guard puts a sword between the man and the two queens and says, "Not today." And as the ladies continue on their walk, Frances finds Lola in a home where she has given birth and survived along with her newborn son. So, in the throne room, there are large braziers burning to keep the air pure, and Mary is already there as Catherine enters and sits on the other throne, and she begins bombarding Mary with millions of questions as to why Frances hasn't returned. And, the music is sounding to signal that someone else has fallen ill, and this is a very crazy scene. Nostradamus enters the room and volunteers to go out and finds Frances as the guards Mary had sent have been apparently delayed, and he believes himself to be immune to the plague. He pretty much thinks he's not going to get it, which, let's be real here, there's no such thing as immune, okay? There was no medication then, there was no shots then, so you're not immune to something unless there is, like, a medication to it. Back then, this was, like, what, the 1500s, 1400s, something like that? There were no, medication or anything like that available. It wasn't available, so you wouldn't get, immune to something unless you were properly medicated. So, Mary says there's much danger and unrest out in the lands, and Catherine won't be happy if any illness has befallen her son, and questions Mary if there's another reason her son has gone missing, because she doesn't really know why he's gone missing. However, Mary's in no mood and asks Catherine to please not taunt her this day, and remind her that Nostradamus is willing to risk his life to go out and find their king, and Mary's husband and Catherine's son, and commands her to thank Nostradamus, say goodbye, and be silent. She really has a lot of pressure going through her. I mean, come on, she's the queen, she's getting bombarded with all these questions, really, there's just a lot going on with her, definitely. So, Kenna finds Pascal being let off by the man who tried to greet Mary and Catherine earlier. However, she tries to take him unsuccessfully. This guy is pretty much an asshole. The guy that's with Pascal is a dick. Like, he is a big asshole, and, like, seriously, he is a total dick. So, basically, she tries to take him unsuccessfully as the man grossly insults her by calling her a whore, though she's married to the king's brother, and Pascal tells Kenna that he will meet her in her chambers when he is done. And back at Estelle's house, it's nighttime, and as Frances talks to Lola about the carriage and why he is with her and not back at court with his wife, as well as the idea that Lola is willing to keep the parentage of her son a secret, as Frances has not touched the baby one time. However, Estelle's brother shows signs of the plague, and Frances is quick to take Lola and the baby away, and then try to get Estelle to come with them, but she won't leave her family, saying that she be no safe with the King of France. So back at the castle, Lord Eddard has come asking a favor to kill another man who has been sleeping with his new wife, and he wishes the man to die of the plague, and he gets vengeance, and the French court will get all food for the household, and Mary doesn't want to hear about this, but Catherine thinks Mary should know about the type of animosity is in her realm, and Lord Eddard is explaining that the exchange is simple food for life, and I actually really like this conflict between Mary and Catherine. I mean, I like it personally because, one, Mary's the queen, and she's not exactly the best queen. I mean, she has a lot going on, definitely. She was crowned the queen at probably the worst time possible, because now that she's queen, she has a lot to deal with, there's a lot of stress she's under, and it's really it's a lot of pressure for her, definitely. So, I really love this storyline, definitely. I mean, she's not annoying or anything, but there definitely is a lot going on with her that I definitely really like. So, Catherine schools Mary on the fact that the power of monarchy truly comes from the nobility, along with the money and foods that come to court, and that she will be thankful when she sees the hungry at court are fed, and Mary refuses to listen, instead suggesting that they take the property of Lord Eddard, and Catherine is shocked as Mary tells the guards to deny Eddard his request of killing Valand in exchange for food. So in the castle, Hales, Greer meets up with Leith, and she is still shocked by his relationship with her fiance's daughter, and begs him not to go through with it. So, meanwhile in the woods, Francis and Lola are traveling, trying to make their way back to court, and the baby's crying because he's hungry, and Lola can't feed him as she needs water or something to drink so she can nurse. And they stop as there is fresh water up ahead when they run into a band of men on the road who approach her carriage, and one of them asks Francis what's wrong with Lola, and he says that she had just given birth. She's not infected with the plague. He wants to make that very clear. She's not infected. And the man who seems to be in charge commands his men to bow in respect to the new king. And the king recognizes the man who introduces himself as Louis, a cousin many times removed. And he assures Lola that they are safe among loyal subjects. So back at the castle, Bash is looking for his wife, Kenna. No one has seen her, and Bash has been seen to the lockdown of the castle. And in the throne room, Eddard is back saying that Valen and his family are back in their private quarters and that it would be impossible to kill him without killing the others as witnesses. So he says, however, that the landscape has changed quite dramatically and tells Mary and Catherine to take a look. So they rise and they walk to the nearest window and sees that there are fires breaking out all over the places of the village are being burned by those who are ill. And Eddard warns that once the plague is past, that there will be famine in the land, and the hungry will rise up and kill them. Now, if you guys don't know what famine is basically when you can't eat. Famine is when there is no food, and basically you die of hunger. That's what famine is. So, even if this plague does end up going away, it's still going to be really bad for them because famine's going to occur. So, that's definitely not going to be good. So back in the woods, Lola has put the baby to sleep, and she talks with Francis about going back to court, or Lola leaving forever, and taking the baby with her, as well as how Francis feels about Lola wanting to run off with his son. So back at the castle, Ken is looking for Pascal and enters her chambers, and she quickly discovers that Pascal is infected, and it's really sad here because a maid sees in the room, and before Kenna can get Pascal out of the room, guards shut the door and block it, leaving Kenna inside with the infected people. Now, I don't know if Pascal was a main character or something like that. I feel like he was, but I don't, honestly, again, guys, I only saw the first, 2 episodes, so I don't really exactly remember. If you guys remember, if you guys can help me on this show a little bit, I am a little lost with it. I'm not that lost. I pretty much know what's going on, but if there's something I'm forgetting, just comment down below and let me know. So in the throne room, Catherine is suggesting killing Pierre Valen's entire household in exchange for food, and Mary is shocked at the idea. However, Catherine says that it would not have come to this if only Mary had listened to her earlier. So Nostradamus returns and says that he had discovered Estelle's house and that it had been burned to the ground, and that he found in red X painted on the door, which is the mark for death, but no sign of Francis Lola or the baby. And Catherine's very frantic at the thought of her son being dead. She pretty much thinks he's dead, and saying that for Mary, Francis must survive, as if one bit of this news gets out, then the people will lock from Mary to the future king of France, who would be Charles, and he is but a child. And Mary's very shocked by her mother-in-law's reaction. She's very shocked by that. So back in the woods, Louis, Francis, and Lola meet Lord Narcisse, who is toting a wooden cage in which Estelle is being held in case she's infected with plague. Not Narcisse from Borak Empire. That guy's dead. Don't worry. Narcisse says he is headed north with the case of plague is less severe, and he's curious as to why Francis is there, and he introduced himself as the friend of King Henry, and he says they found Estelle in a house that had been affected with plague, and if they had left her there, she would have died. And Lola tells Francis that Narcisse is not generally a man that is to be heavily trusted. So, back at the castle, Ken is comforting Pascal. He's dying from the plague just on the other side of the door. Bash is looking for her, and he accidentally releases a woman who is infected with plague and kills her, and that was definitely really big. So, Mary enters Catherine's chambers and sees that the Queen Mother in bed is looking ill. And basically, the two get into a discussion about how Catherine is not the woman she wants to be either, and she blames Henry for that. However, Mary says that Henry did love her, but Catherine says that his love for her was not the love that Francis has for Mary. So she warns Mary that being a queen unloved by her king is excruciating and dangerous, as she is nothing but a guest at court without the love and support of her king, and that she should not let Lola come between her and Francis so that she doesn't experience this type of pain. Which makes sense, definitely, because, Francis doesn't seem to really be concerned about Mary. He seems to be concerned about Lola, and I definitely agree with Catherine that they need to have that love because it will help them get through this, especially with something like this, the Black Plague going around. So, She asks him how long Catherine's symptoms will last, and Nostramados answers that she'll be ill for a few days and then by a miracle recover from her illness, and he mentions that he hopes that Catherine will not suspect Mary's hand in making her sick. But I personally feel she's not going to get better. I just feel she's not. I mean, this Black Plague is killing many, many people. I think it will kill Catherine as well. If she magically gets ill, that's going to be a miracle, but I need to know, like, how is she just magically going to get ill? She can't just magically, get ill all of it, get better all of a sudden. It doesn't exactly makes sense if she just magically gets better. I mean, it kind of does, but she can't just get magically better. So back in the woods, Lewis apologized for not being honest with Francis about the boat he has because it could be overtaken by people who want to escape the plague. And Lewis tells Francis about his mistress and calls Lola Francis's mistress. However, Francis denies it as Lewis says that Lola could leave for the Netherlands with the baby and start a new life and marry well. I think, I agree with that basically, if Lola wants nothing to do with him, then so be it. So back at the castle in Valen's quarters, a young girl offers Yvette wine as she waits for Leith, and in the throne room, Mary tells Edard Narcisse that Valen's family is not to be harmed, but he asks about the Queen Mother, to which Mary says that she is the Queen of France and he is her subject, and Mary then seeks the real reason why Edard would seek vengeance. Because he would not be slaughtered, he would not slaughter an entire household, and Edard says that it would have been much easier if his first request had been granted, and he then says that he sent the poison wines to Valen's private quarters, where his family and Yvette are hiding from the plague, and Mary and the guards rush to the chambers and finds everyone in the room dead, including the servants and Yvette Castleroy, which was huge that Yvette died. And Mary demands the names of everyone in the room. So they've killed off two pretty big characters, Pascal and now Yvette, and I think that was very surprising the way they did that. I wasn't expecting that, and I'm like, wow, this show really has a lot of balls to do that, definitely. Kill off two characters who I think were important to the story. I think they were main characters in the first episode of Season 2. I think that definitely is really big. So Mary demands the names of everyone in the room, and Bash is roaming the hall seeking his wife when he sees the ghost of a young girl who was among the dead in Valen's chambers, and she tells Bash that there will be a reckoning, and that was definitely very interesting. So Edard Narcisse is hanging a yellow ribbon from the castle balcony as a sign to get the grain to court, and as he turns to leave, he sees Mary and a group of guards, and Edard doesn't know that Mary was having him followed and orders him locked in a room with people that are sick and dying from the plague, and he screams that his father will free him, but Mary's replying, no he won't because he'll never find you, and Bash is looking for Kenna, calling her name when he hears her voice and frees her from her chambers. She runs into his arms, a great reunion. They embrace as Bash was afraid that his wife was dead, and Kenna tells Bash about Pascal's death as he comforts her, because Pascal did mean a lot to her, and she's very upset that he died, definitely. He did mean a lot to her, and it was very sad that Pascal died because of that. I'm looking here, he was a recurring character, so definitely he was important, so it definitely was really sad that he died. So, then we see that back in the woods, Francis hears the baby crying. Lola's nowhere in sight, so Francis picks him up, quiets him down. When Lola returns, and Francis tells her that he could not let Lola leave with his son. And I'm pretty much thinking that Francis is going to try to raise this son with Lola. He's going to see how this works. He's going to see how it ends up working for them and see basically how, it ends up working. So, at the castle, guards are dragging Edard Narcisse to the underground chamber where the sick and dying are being kept. They shove him in there while Mary watches, and I love the way the episode ends. So this was a really good ending, because Francis is holding his son while Lola looks on, and Mary's sitting alone on her throne, staring at the empty chair beside her, thinking about her missing king/husband, basically having no idea what he's doing, and definitely that was a great way to end the episode. Now, I will say this, I'm not completely hooked on this show yet. I do really love this show. I really like where it's going. I'm not completely hooked yet. I really do love it, but there are some things that, it's only the first episode of Season 2, so I am going to watch the second episode and see if I like that one more. I actually heard the second episode is like 10 times better than the first one. But let's talk about some things first of all. Lola and Francis, I definitely feel they're going to try to raise this baby together, see how that ends up working. We'll have to see what happens there, definitely. Mary has no idea where Francis is, so if she finds out, it's definitely going to be very interesting to see what happens there. Catherine, I don't know if she's going to recover from this. I honestly don't know, because people are already dropping like flies, so I don't know if Catherine's really going to recover from her illness. I don't know. Maybe she has I don't think she has a plague or something like that, but who knows? Maybe she's very old, so I don't think she's going to really recover from this illness because people back then didn't really live that, that old. So I don't really think that she's going to recover from this, in my opinion. I don't think she is. As far as, Kenna and Bash goes, there's definitely going to be a lot of grieving there with Pascal. We'll have to see definitely what happens there. I don't know really what else to say there, really. Who else is going to get the plague? I'm very interested in seeing what's going to happen there. We'll have to see, definitely, what's going to happen. Is Mary a good queen? Do you think she's a good queen, or is she just not listening to Catherine? I think she is a good queen, but she has a lot of pressure put, on her right now. There's a lot of things that she has to deal with, and I don't really know if she's the best queen that she could be. I think she's trying to be a good queen, but I don't know if she really is a good queen. I guess we'll just have to see. Let me know what you guys saw this premiere. Overall, guys, I thought this was a very good premiere. I'm really enjoying the show. If there's anything I forgot with this episode, comment down below and let me know if I forgot anything that important. I think I probably did forget some things that were very important, but let me know what you guys saw this episode. And I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for a movie review, because I am seeing a movie today, or for the second episode of Rings. I'm actually going to watch that right now, so I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.